Welcome back. I'm Steph Smart and I'm with Paul Blackburn, and the topic we're talking about now is how to help your mates after a natural disaster or traumatic event.
So in the spare time that you got, which there'd be heaps, most people run around like blue-ass flies and there's more to do this week than they can normally do in a year. So that puts a lot of pressure on as well. However, if you can grasp the idea that we need to do more than just what needs to be done on the ground, then an entire community can start to self-heal. And what I mean by that is we still need community, so we still need connection. You know, human beings are social animals, and therefore if we isolate ourselves because there's so much work to be done, then we don't get the benefit of socialisation, which I don't mean the benefit of having a few beers and all the rest of it. I mean actual interconnection that happens within communities where you hear other people's stories and you find out what's going on, and you get hints and tips and ideas about how you could do it better and all those sort of things. So those things are critically important so that we decrease the sense of isolation. But in addition to that, what happens in community is that I get the opportunity to be helpful. Yep. And by that, what I mean is that we get involved in conversations about what's going on for us. And that's as good for the listener as it is for the speaker. So yep. It's important that we allow those conversations to be long and rambling, and that's why community gatherings are really important. Family gatherings probably even more important. And so this is where the kind of traditional Sunday night roast family thing is kind of like, you know, a lifesaver, because if a family's used to doing that, then we need to make sure we don't take the excuse of, you know, we're underwater at the moment and we're battling and we can't cope, to not have the dinner. So the reason behind that is that what happens is that there's a level of connection between us as human beings that happens beyond speech. And so what happens is when we end up in the same environment, if it's around the dinner table or it's around the barbecue, doesn't matter. What happens is there's a level of connection that makes me feel my humanity and makes me feel supported and makes me feel cared about, even if I'm the one who's doing the supporting and caring. Yep. So from that point of view, anything that you can do to help out in the community events is not going to just be good for that community event. It's also going to be good for you. If you look in the cities, what people do to make themselves feel good is they go and do Wheels on Meals. And the essence of that is that when I go...
Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels, what did I say?
Wheels on Meals.
Wheels on Meals. Yeah, do it the other way around. So when I do that, you know, when I help someone who can't help themselves or is just overwhelmed, I'm actually the major beneficiary, because I walk away feeling good about myself because I did the right thing. I'm the kind of man that I want to be. I don't care what the rest of the world thinks, but, you know, I'm living with me and I know that I did something that feels good because it was the right thing. And those things in community are really good. So the fundraisers, the kind of the working bees, those kind of things are really important. But when you come across someone who you reckon is struggling, and once again, that's a matter of being sensitive enough to recognise that they're a bit quieter than normal, or that they're a bit withdrawn, or that they keep changing the subject, or, you know, away from how we're coping, those kind of things, then it's a matter of grabbing that person and doing the old, you know, are you okay, is a really, really famous line because it works. So that simply means, you know, the best thing that you can do for somebody is to sit down with them, be in the same physical territory as they are, letting something happen. So you might be actually fencing, or you might be at a barbecue, or you might be cleaning up from something, or it actually doesn't matter what happened. You know, women have got the advantage of they all go in and do the washing up, you know. So whenever was washing up done in silence. So there's a whole bunch of yabbering going on, and that's that connection that makes us feel like I'm not alone, that my circumstances at home are not changing, but I'm connected to a bunch of people who know what I'm going through. They get it because they get me, they get the community, they get what we do for a living.
And so women and men, you know, it's a little bit of a different approach, isn't it, for women and men? As
I said in one of the other videos, women talk it out to work it out. And women are taught that from a very young age, that that's what they do. Men are taught equally from a young age that you work it out and then you speak, and don't speak too soon because you don't want to be a mug and come up with a dumbass solution. And so therefore let the other guy go first. You've got a bunch of people letting the other guy go first, then there's a bunch of people sitting around not talking. for all sorts of reasons. That's actually the opposite of what we need. We need someone to take a lead and say, well, I reckon we ought to do this, or what do you think about that, or whatever, and get the communication happening.
Yep.
Because it's when people who are hurting talk to people who are hurting that magic happens. In other words, you can't transport someone like me up into the bush and say, you can help them. They're actually better at helping each other. People who've been through car smashes are better at talking to people who have been through car smashes. Amputees are better to talk to amputees than a psychologist or a psychiatrist. It's someone who's been there and done that.
Yep.
That's a person that we want to talk to. Even if they don't have a solution, we know that that's a legit person and the level of pain is the same.
Yep. And so if you suspect that someone that you love or someone in your community is not travelling so well, how do you sort of approach that person to sort of help them out?
Well, you've got to be brave but gentle.
Yep.
And what I mean by brave is that you've actually got to bring the subject up, but remember that you might be stepping on a prickly thorn that may be the very thing that you don't want them to do. So we have to allow people to have their own privacy in terms of what they want to talk about, but we need to nudge them as well in terms of, if we just leave them to it and then something awful happens, they do something drastic, then we're going to feel shame and guilt for not speaking up as well. So there's a fine line, and what I'd do is I'd say tread carefully, but keep treading. So be a little bit gently persistent.
And so women are better at doing this than men, aren't they?
Yeah, because you see, what happens is that women don't take things literally and men do. So I'm all right means I don't have to ask you again. You already told me. It's kind of like, I don't know how long you've been married, but, your husband probably told you some years ago that he loved you, and that's been it since then, because he doesn't need to repeat it because he said it and he meant it, and that's it.
Yep.
So what women do is, women will say, are you okay? Yes, I'm all right. Are you sure?
Yeah.
And so what men need to learn how to do is to not take that first answer as the total answer.
Yep.
Because, are you okay? Yep. Well, literally that means yes. Literally that means, all right, well, I'll go find someone else to help. What we need to do is be a little bit persistent, say, yeah, but you don't look it.
Yep.
Are you okay? Yep. Yeah, but you don't sound it. You okay? Yep. Well, that doesn't feel right to me. Is there something going on?
Yep.
You okay? Yep. Do you want to say that again? Yep. Doesn't sound right. Or
is it, are there ways that you can perhaps offer to help that might...
I think that's the other thing, is to turn up and say, what can I do to help? So I think it's a really powerful thing to say, I've come to do whatever I can at this point to help you out. If that's sit here and talk to you, well, I'm happy to do that. If it's we'll go out and stick up some fencing, well, we'll do that. If some land needs clearing, we'll do that. If there's some hard yakka to do, well, we'll do that. But I'm ostensibly here to show you my support in a practical manner. I don't necessarily need to sit around talking about it forever.
Yep.
But I think it would be good if we just talked as we went.
Yep.
So, because remember that, I was talking to a guy yesterday who said to me, look, Paul, my problem is I'm slow to establish rapport. He said, all of my friends are long-term friends, have been friends for years, but in the beginning it was really slow to build that up. And I said to him, you're probably a dinky-die Aussie. The reality is sometimes we just need to do something over and over again in small amounts that demonstrates that we're there, and maybe the conversation is going to come up in 3 weeks or 3 months.
Yep.
So it's important to not think that I have to get someone to spill their guts today.
Yep.
That if they know that I'm there, if they know that I'm willing, if they know that I will pick up the phone, most of us have got a smartphone that's smarter than us. Because what we do is we don't pick it up often enough to reach out and say, I was just thinking of you. How you going? What are you doing? Particularly with family, it's kind of like, how far from your family are you?
About 1,300 kilometres.
So, that means the phone's a practical thing. And so I think when you ring and you say, to your mum or your dad or whoever's there, how you going? What are you going to get from your mum?
Yeah, we're okay.
Yeah. And your dad won't use that many words.
Yep.
He'll say, good.
Yep.
And so it's then up to you to say, well, I just rang to talk about what you're up to. And maybe what you've got to do in the beginning is talk about, well, what are you working on at the moment?
Yep.
Have you done the clean-up? Where are you up to with it? Is the tractor still handling it? Those kind of things. And talk about, well, what specifically are you doing now, so that you get them a conversation into a conversation about what's going on currently.
Yep.
So that you're having what we call a normal conversation, because it's in normal conversation you get the bit on the end that's the meaningful piece.
Yep.
At that point, understand, on the other end of the phone, you're not meant to have a solution.
Yep.
You're there to listen, because that's one of the ways that people heal, is that we talk it out.
Yeah, and I think, that's something that people probably struggle with if they see someone that is really upset. People just naturally feel like they've got to offer a solution, whereas sometimes the best solution is just to sit there in silence and not say anything at all.
Undoubtedly, it's the best solution, because most of us are stupid enough to say something that we wish we didn't say. So the golden rule is, don't say anything unless you've got something meaningful, and quite often the something meaningful is a question.
Yep.
Which is, well, what happens now? Or what have you thought about doing? Or do you mind if I stay here with you? Or, questions work really well, because they allow an opening up of saying, no, I'd rather be on my own, or I want to go for a walk, or get out of my face, or whatever.
Yep.
So I think for most people, it's a difficult thing to understand that you don't have to have a solution. Quite often you are much more useful if you just bring your presence and just be there, and the thing will work itself out.
Okay, and so how do you actually comfort someone that is clearly very upset?
That's actually the easiest, and I think it's what people think is the hardest. So someone who's clearly upset is most likely going to be in tears or in rage. And so they'll be angry and they'll be spitting dummies everywhere, or there's just going to be a bunch of tears. The way that you handle those is both differently. So with the rage, you just fuel it. And that's simply a matter of find the punching bag, find something that they can physically get into, where they can do some damage without doing damage to a person.
Yep.
That's the golden rule. Whether it's a punching bag or yelling in the swimming pool or chopping down a tree or whatever it is, then something, in fact, I wouldn't hand an angry person an axe, but, something that's going to allow the non-damaging expression physically. Someone who's in tears, depending on whether it's a man or woman, you handle it differently, but essentially be careful about touching them. Most of us want to kind of touch them on the shoulder or the back and say they're there and it'll be all right.
Or stop crying, don't cry.
Or stop crying, when are you going to be over the crying? Well, it's time you got over this kind of thing. All of those things are worse than helpful. They actually make it all worse. So to just be with someone who's crying and just be with them is probably one of the most powerful things that you can do. The sooner you speak, the sooner you bugger it up. Yep. So it's a matter of just being there with them, handing them the tissues if that's what they want, the handkerchiefs if that's what they want. The less you say, the better. The more. Don't say, I understand. Don't say, I know what you're going through. Don't say anything that indicates that you know what's going on for them. In fact, go for things like, tell me more. Is there anything you want to say? Do you want to say more about that?
So asking a question, basically.
Asking questions that promote or create an opening for them to talk to you if they want to.
Yep.
Some people can't talk to you, they can't breathe. So they're just struggling, catching their breath, because that's the way sadness goes.
Yep.
Sadness comes in waves, so you can see someone in tears and then they look okay.
Yep.
And in fact, they feel okay. And they go, oh, I don't know where that came from, I'm sorry. Most people apologise for being in tears. But then another wave will hit them. Someone will talk about something and it brings up the fact that they lost their favourite animal and the tears come again. And so the wave, watch out for the wave thing with sadness.
Yep. And so how is it different for men?
Well, men tend to men have been taught that it's weakness to cry. And so when they end up in tears, it's kind of like the major part of their energy is being directed towards shutting it down and making it not happen. They will turn away, they will cover up, they will walk away, they will take big breaths and just kind of steel themselves and force themselves to go through things. Unfortunately, that doesn't work, but it's been so highly trained that it feels instinctive. It's not actually instinctive, but it's what they will want to do, because What's worse than that is what they call being weak. Which is, if I cried, I was weak. And so you'll hear expressions like, I stayed strong for my family, meaning that I didn't cry when I wanted to.
Yep.
There's a perception out there that if I cry, or if I'm sad, that everybody else is going to come undone. It's kind of like the world will end if I'm in tears. The reality is, if I'm in tears, I'm real and I'm exposing my feelings to you. And if I'm married to you, then I bloody well better get on with that. Otherwise, you're going to feel isolated. I'm going to be going through something on my own. You're going to know that I'm struggling. I'm going to not know whether you support me or not. And there'll be a chasm open up.
Yep.
And under these kind of stressful situations and circumstances, marriages get worse or better. They don't just stay the same. It's kind of like a lot of people think, oh, we'll just have to get through this and it'll be all right. It won't. It'll get worse or it'll get better.
Yep.
The ones that get better are the ones who are talking to each other. The ones that get worse are the ones who are not talking to each other.
Yep. Okay, so just wrapping up, I guess one of the most critical things in helping your mate is encouraging community and connection.
Yep.
And there's some fabulous organisations that are doing that, especially up north. They've had Sisters of the North that has been formed. They've formed a charity wing and have raised funds that they will distribute to the communities. But they're also putting on events to bring people together because that's a big part of the healing process.
Yep.
We've also had Kelly Shan, who is involved in Sisters of the North, and she has started her Life Journey YouTube series this week, and she's actually speaking to people and getting them to share their stories, which is probably really important as well, so people know that they're not isolated and people are going through very similar things.
Those sharing of the stories is very healing for the person who's sharing.
Yep.
It's very healing for the people who resonate with it. Not every story you connect with, but there's enough of those stories for us to kind of go, that dude, I relate to them, and for you listening to their story, that's healing for you as well.
Yep.
So those things are absolutely fantastic. It's just credit to the people who are doing that work.
Absolutely.
That they're out there doing that. I would say when those kind of functions are on, that you just do everything you can to get there. It's really, really important because you never know whose life you change, heal, fix or help simply because you showed up and just said hello to them.
Yep, absolutely.
It could be as simple as that. Bearing in mind that these conversations, we want them all in one dose, but maybe the conversation that turns someone's life around takes 3 years of just getting to know each other, and then one day, boom. In fact, I saw something recently on the TV where a thalidomide baby who's now 60 years old. So this woman was born with no arms. She's got hands on the ends of her shoulders. Her mother took 2 thalidomide tablets in the entire pregnancy, and that was enough to create the problems that they've got now. And the mother is now in her 90s and is now able to talk about the guilt and shame for taking those tablets. But for 35 years, it hasn't been spoken of. So, it can take a while to get to some of these things that are deeply personal.
Okay, great. Thank you.